Greetings, everyone. It's a very wet and windy day here. It's the 31st of July 2025, the last day of July. Things are happening in the world. We've heard of the earthquake there in eastern Russia that's affecting much of the specific countries like Japan, Indonesia, even Guam and Hawaii and the American coast, because there are tsunami warnings that are going out there. People are concerned for safety because they think the water is going to come up, and there has been reports of tsunami waves reaching those coasts. And at present time, it's been smaller waves, but as you know, tsunamis have great power behind them, and there's sometimes different waves that come after the first initial waves. But be that as it may, things are happening. I'm talking again about the United States of America, which is basically a fallen empire. I'm going to talk about that today. And biblically, it's based on Revelation 17 and 18 in the Bible. But I'm not going to talk much about Scripture. I just want to alert you to the fact that if you disagree with this information, please go and look up Revelation 17 and 18 and decide for yourself which country has been referred to as Mystery Babylon. It's my contention that it's the United States of America. And today I'm going to talk on more of an international politics situation. As you know, America is no longer the same America of the 1950s and 1960s. You have a political, economic, and social instability taking place there. And it's my contention that it's the beginnings of the crumbling empire. You know, if you look at the political side of things, in recent decades, there's been a lot of instability politically in terms of the attrition between the Democrats and the conservatives. It's got worse over the years. You know, the Biden and Trump situation brought about a great many ills in that country. And of course, there was the competition between Kamala Harris and Trump, between the Clintons and Trump. So the instability has started a while back, and what the world is viewing is a country that claims to be very democratic and very organized, but it's chaotic. Economically, we have BRICS, which has come up, which is a group of countries, including South Africa, that is as in contention or in opposition to the dominance of the United States dollar. And it's gaining ground because there are countries that are joining, and they had a conference in Brazil this year, and there are several other countries are taking an interest in BRICS. They due to find their own banks and their own currency, so the dollar is destined to crash, according to my opinion. Of course, you're welcome to yours, but please look at what's happening. And as I stated in a previous video, don't look at what is the mainstream media saying, because they are opinion makers and they want to just twist people's viewpoint and opinion in favor of certain things. And what the result is that there's several lies and untruths that are floating around. So politically, there's been a lot of polarity between groups. And you know, the social side of the issue is also very much related to the economic. There's a lot of riots and demonstrations, Democrats against conservatives. There was BLM and other groups that have been demonstrating much in the streets. So it's not a stable country as we know from the past. And socially, we look at, for instance, the issues like the LGBTQ plus, abortion, transgender issues. Um, what is a male? What is a female? The mental health condition there seems to be quite under stress. People don't even know what's the definition of a woman, for instance. You've got a lot of single families, single parent families, lots of divorce, abortion. And this thing about the mental confusion, even it goes much into things like there's no just male and female, there's several genders, and people will claim these are my pronouns, and the pronouns are not just he and she, it's a whole lot of it and them and so on. And it's very rife in that country, the gender confusion. And then there's the people that dress up as the men that dress up as women and go and do readings for very young children, and the literature is very corruptive. They want to teach or educate very young children about sexuality and even possibly to change their genders and so on. And of course, there's the pagan holidays like Halloween and so forth. This country has been selling to the world a lot of wicked practices, and because they've been doing so well in the past, people tend to have followed what came out of America. But no, just to carry on the idea of the economics, tourism has taken a very big hit in America. The planes are no longer so full of tourists. The tourist sites are deserted. Even Disneyland and places like that, it's totally different. It's no longer the same as before. America is no longer a tourist destination for the rest of the world. The rest of the world are mostly interested in the East. Even countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia, Japan, China. More tourists are going there than America, and the planes are empty. The cities are not so buzzing as before with tourists, and that touches on the economics of that country. A lot of homelessness, a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of premises of businesses that are empty. You look through the windows; it's for hire, but nobody's hiring. And then, of course, each issue of tent cities. The very rich country of the past that we know or we knew of has got homeless people living on the streets in cities like Philadelphia and Los Angeles and so on. You just need to follow some YouTube videos to see that it's a terrible situation. And of course, in those cities like in Philadelphia and Los Angeles and so on, you've got people that are very heavily on drugs in certain patches of the city, where one could say there are zombies now in those cities. People that are just standing there, drugged out of their minds like zombies. There's fentanyl, drugs like very dangerous drugs in those cities. And then, talking about the mental health of people, if you look at the videos of people fighting over parking space and in the malls over nothing, people are very aggressive and very angry, I would say. There's even a term for those ladies that pick fights for no reason with people and go on berserk in the streets. They're called Karens. And the gents that are of similar minded are called Kens. And if you compare that country and its population to a country like Japan and its population, it's a vast difference. There's much more calmness there in Japan, order, discipline, and cleanliness as compared to this wonderful country. Now, what actually happened to the United States of America? You know, I would just a bit of history. I would describe America as having become a superpower out of luck. By luck, they became a superpower. By circumstance, you'll remember the during the First World War, America wasn't involved in the war. Um, it was a European arena war, but because of the sinking of a ship, a famous ship that was claimed to have been carrying weapons and aid to Britain in its fight against Germany, it was sunk by a U-boat, and America that wanted isolated policies were forced to join the war. When they joined the war, they came in fresh because all the other countries were exhausted economically and militarily, and with the result that America gained through that. And that was the first circumstance or luck that America gained greater deal from that. But even the Second World War, America gained even more because of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor caused America to declare war on Japan. But Japan was part of the Axis countries, Germany, Italy, and Japan. They were pulled into the war in the European arena and fought there, but the European countries were again exhausted in this war, and America stepped into that position and took over the position that Britain held as a world superpower, and became the superpower along with the USSR, it was called at the time, which is Russia. And that's just a little bit of background, but the point is that after the Second World War, America gained so much that they even shipped over to America a lot of the factories and goods, and they took the spoils of the war, even of the people. All the best scientists in Germany with the know-how, the science know-how, was shipped to America, and I've heard of reports where it's claimed that plus minus 2,000 German scientists and people with know-how were taken into America, given new names, etc. And even Nazis, people who were Nazis, were protected and brought into America. That's a topic on its own. Obviously, there'll be people here listening and will disbelieve this nonsense that I'm saying, but you know that they're welcome to their opinion. But are they guts enough to go and research and find out things? So America, into the 1950s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, was at its heyday. You know, a superpower in the world, and in fact, it became even the sole superpower because when the USSR collapsed, they had nuclear weapons, etc. But America was number one in the world. But the cracks came in the superpower, you know, during 2001, you know, what we call 9/11, when the Twin Towers in New York were bombed, and Americans got a big shock and realized that they're no longer impenetrable, they're no longer invincible, which I've described in the previous video. They now experience that that's possible for them to be penetrated, for them to be attacked, even on their own ground. And of course, at that time, there was also the scare of that anthrax scare, etc. So now when we in the 24, 25, these years, we see all the cracks even expounding, the increasing as we're going along. America is now in debt of trillions of dollars, and then we've got this new BRICS group that's a challenge to the American dollar, and if you disbelieve or you don't agree with me, just have a look and ask yourself which country in the world fits the Mystery Babylon picture. The Mystery Babylon is a futuristic a prophecy to be fulfilled, and I'm describing here that prophecy is being fulfilled in these decades that we're living in. It's just that many people don't realize it. They just don't see it. Um, and as things go along, even the Americans themselves cannot see it. They're so caught up in the belief system that they're the best, they're the number one in the world, and they untouchable. But while they're untouchable, they are being touched, but basically daily, and even being defeated by circumstances that was coming from the rest of the world. So I just thought I'd inform you about this kind of thing. As I said, read up Revelation 17 and 18. Try to see which country fits this description of Mystery Babylon. Have a great day further.